All right, guys, let's talk a little Browns playoff hopes. There are 6 teams that made the playoffs in 2023 that are off to 1-2 starts this year. Cleveland, San Francisco, the Rams, the Dolphins, the Cowboys, and the Ravens. Bull, of those 6 teams, if you were to rank them number 1, most likely to still make the playoffs, number 6, least likely to make the playoffs, how would you rank it, and where does Cleveland come on that list?
I mean, I think it's pretty obvious. The only tough decisions are, in my opinion, between the Niners and Baltimore, who's 1 and who's 2, and between the Browns and Rams, who's 4 and 5. To me, Dallas is locked into the 3 spot, and the Dolphins are locked into the 6 spot because I don't even know when 2 is going to play. The rest of the teams at least have their starting quarterbacks. So the Dolphins are last because I have no idea when 2 is going to play. I would say the Niners are 1. They just let that game get away against the Rams, and maybe because Ayuk was out of the line or missed all the training camp. Deebo Samuel's hurt now. McCaffrey's hurt, although Jordan Mason's been great for them. But as great as he's been, he's still not Christian McCaffrey. So I think they've dealt with more injuries. Baltimore's been a little shocking, certainly, but they bounced back last week. So I'll say the Niners won by a hair over Baltimore, although I think both will make the playoffs. Dallas is 3. I think they are certainly lacking talent outside of Dak and CeeDee Lamb on the offense. I'm really, to me, it's a tough call between the Rams and Browns. They both have tough schedules. I like Stafford more than I like Watson right now, but Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua are both out, and that's a major problem. So I'll go Browns 4, Rams 5, and Dolphins 6.
Dustin?
So what am I exactly listing out here? I'm sorry.
Most likely to make the playoffs. Most likely to least likely make the playoffs of those 6 teams.
Give me we're all the 6 teams.
These are.
Why don't you go while Dustin gets?
I'm trying
to. We'll start for you, man. We got to freestyle. We're gonna freestyle. Listen. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna switch those 2. I think the Baltimore Ravens are the most likely to make it. I think they found something. Again, they were trying to be cute. They wanted Lamar to get his money off. They was passing up last week against the Cowboys. They come out and run it 40 sometimes. Lamar passes at 15, excuse me. I think they're like, okay, let's do it. Let's get our money off. I'm going to go with the 49ers second. I think today with Shanahan, their run game will travel. He's good enough to scheme up a lot of different things so they can get their money off in terms of the run game. Christian McCaffrey is being out, but I think Shanahan has shown more than one time that he can get it done with a multitude of people. I'm going to go with them. Now, with the Dolphins, I got the Dolphins last. Just start with them because you ain't got a quarterback. That's not going to work. Who knows when he's coming back. And I thought they were flawed to start with before Tua was out. And then it comes down to, I guess, the Rams and the Browns. Right now, I got to put the Rams ahead of the Browns, mainly because Stafford is he's a known commodity. I know what he's going to do. Even Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp are out. I still like their running game more than the Browns. And at this point, the Browns defense is not where it was last year. If the Browns defense was still playing the way it was last year, I'd flip-flop the 2 teams. But I got the Browns at 5th. Rams at 4th, and then Niners, and then at the top of the food chain is Ravens.
Okay, I have the teams now. Bull, I was like, what are these teams he's ranking right now? Okay, so the 6 teams that I would, that made the playoffs will not. Obviously, you read them off there. I'll say the least likely to make it's going to be Dallas. Yeah, I think they're a mess right now. I mean, obviously I've watched the Browns game. I watched the entire Ravens game this past weekend. Yeah, the Ravens let them sort of back in it, but dude, that the Ravens could have named their score if they'd have kept the foot on the gas the entire game. So I'll say Dallas will be number 1, least likely to make it. I'll put Miami number 2. I could have put them last just because of the Tua uncertainty. You made the good point there, Adam. I don't know what that team's going to be with Skyler.
Well, Tyler Huntley might start this week.
Okay, is he any better? I mean, what's the difference?
Yeah.
So Dallas, Miami. I'll say the Rams, Cleveland, and then San Fran, Baltimore.
So he had it just a little different than you.
I have Baltimore the most likely to make it out of all those teams.
So G and Dustin have Baltimore the most likely, San Francisco 2. I have San Francisco 1 and Baltimore 2. Dustin and I have the Browns as 4th most likely. G has them 5th. And Dustin with the Cowboys last. G and I have the Dolphins last. So what's yours?
Real quick, in what world did I ever foresee you and Dustin being higher on the Browns playoff chances than G. Bush? Like, what bizarre world?
That's
what
shocker.
Bizarre world have we entered now where it's 12-22 on September 25th, and G of us is the lowest on the Browns?
I get, contrary to popular belief, like my takes be actually like lower than people's, right? Like I don't be all like when they be like, oh, Deshaun Watson is balling. I'm like, he's getting 2,500 if he's lucky. What are you talking about? Like
I'm gonna back G up here because he is when things are going well, we have Kool-Aid and it's over the top. But when they're not playing well, he's harsh with them, deservedly so. So I'm not shocked. I don't know about Dustin. I can't speak for him, but right now, even though I had them 4th, I don't think if you ask me today, are the Browns making the playoffs? I would say no.
No, absolutely not.
They have to win Sunday. Like they can't start 1-3. They can't.
Yeah, especially because Washington looks way better than obviously, than we thought. So. Although I did pick Washington as my if you may remember, Mike, as our not that they've anywhere close to that yet, but I picked them as my surprise playoff team this year.
Bull, you did say, somebody emailed me the other day, McNuggets, they said Bull might have been right. He had the Browns not making the playoffs, and we gave him a hard time.
I knew people were gonna be mad, but anyway, Dustin, right now today you have the Browns making the playoffs?
No.
Yeah. Mike,
it could change.
How could you, Bull?
Yeah.
No, you can't right now. No.
There's been nothing we've
I don't know that you can pick them to beat the Raiders this weekend.
No, I mean the Raiders are favored. It's a slight favorite.
And I mean they're at home.
Yeah.
Although I don't even know that's a home field advantage out there.
No, that's true. There'll be a lot of Browns fans there.
There's a lot that's going to change.
People have been looking for this for a while.
Yep.
There's a lot that's going to change in the next 14 weeks, but if you're basing it off the first 3 games of the season, it's hard to find the path, or it's hard to foresee a route for the Browns to turn it around. Sean and Leroy both said they can't block right now. Like they can do some tweaks to get this offense back on track to some extent, but if you can't hold up in protection, whether it's the passing game or the running game, it's hard to envision a world where this defense automatically snaps back to 1985 Bears form and just start shutting down this quarterback gauntlet that, by the way, is coming up. They haven't even reached the part of the schedule that, at least when the year started, we thought was going to be a much tougher portion. And like you said, both the Commanders look better than expected. They still have to face Mahomes. They still have to face all 6 AFC North Division opponents.
Right.
Like the road gets tougher, and the level of play we've seen to the Browns thus far isn't playoff caliber. They can get there, but it hasn't been yet.
And if you look at the other the teams we're talking about here, forget the Dolphins because 2 is hurt. But if you look at the other 4 teams, the Niners, Baltimore, Dallas, and Rams, like all of those 4 teams, at least in their one win, they played well. Right? Like the Browns didn't play that well in their win. The Niners played, the Baltimore looked great against Dallas. And Baltimore played well against Kansas City. They just lost, right? The Rams just beat San Francisco. And Dallas played well against the Browns. They weren't amazing, but they were better against the Browns than the Browns were against the Jaguars.
Yeah. The thing I'm scared about is everybody I talk to says that the offensive line, that isn't going to get better.
No,
like that's going to be a thing all year. Guys are in and out of the lineup. You're not going to have any cohesiveness. That's it. But the thing that scares me most is the fact that you have that, and say for instance, the quarterback play does not get any better. Right. So we still, after week 5, week 6, talking about overthrows or missed throws, the gimmies that you have to have that are layups, and the defense takes a step back. The defense isn't what it was last year, and the defense takes a step back, then there's no way. Now, 2 of those three things are most likely to happen. Like, so you have to have the defense playing otherworldly. Right. If you want to pick, you're going to say the Browns are going to be a playoff team, because the other 2 things, I haven't seen any credible, signs of those things changing.
Yeah. I think the hope is that Nick Chubb comes back and makes the offensive line, at least in the run, look better. But I mean, that's considering he hasn't played in over a year and he's coming off serious injury, that's a lot to expect from Nick Chubb.
He technically can be activated off the IR after this week. And speaking of the IR, Wyatt Teller was officially placed on the IR today. We expected it yesterday, but Stefanski made that official a few minutes ago. He also said Myles Garrett questionable for Sunday's game against the Raiders. He's not going to practice. I don't think any have expected him to practice. It'll be a game time decision. I'd be surprised if he didn't play, but will not practice the next couple of days.
Zach Zinner, what's up, bro? How you living? Shout out to Zach Zinner.
I actually thought he looked pretty decent, to be honest with you.
I did too. I thought so.
Of all the linemen, he was the only one when you go back and watch that was like he held his own against Dexter Lawrence a little bit too, and Lawrence is a man-child, so